Well, Tom, do you like Hoover? You've been, I think, once or twice, and that's put it on the low side. What do you think of Hoover, Alabama?
I agree with Tommy. There's a lot of good restaurants around Birmingham and Hoover, and when I covered Bama, at the very beginning, I would go twice a year cover games in Birmingham. So I've been a ton there, and no, it's not like a fine arts mecca or anything like that, but there's plenty to do around Birmingham and Hoover, and I don't mind it at all. I'm quite comfortable going there, traffic's not horrible. It can be bad, but it's not a bad destination city for conference tournament events like the baseball. And when I'm there for baseball, I always feel like I'm in a pretty good mood, and I don't get hung up, all messed up with traffic or anything like that.
Remember that one year that Alabama and Auburn played at 9 a.m. and the traffic, because it's have you been to the SEC tournament for baseball?
Not for baseball. Okay,
it's one way in and one way out back to that ballpark.
The Hoover, man.
And they had the Iron Bowl of baseball for like I don't know what, just the way it worked out in the bracket. It's like 8 versus 9 or something on the bracket. And traffic was snarl. It was like a Thursday morning, a 9 a.m. first pitch, and traffic was so messed up getting in and out of that place that people finally were like getting in their seats in the 7th inning. It was literally that bad. So, we were there doing the morning show from the press box, and it was. Do you remember that? Were you there that year, Tom?
I do remember that.
It's the only time I've seen a traffic jam at that event.
Yeah, I think I had gotten there safely well in advance and watched that from afar. I always thought there should have been another western exit out of that ballpark, and maybe they're working on something like that.
And they only use that park for that event, more or less. I mean, they've moved the other teams. So they've moved. I still wish they would. This is my soapbox for today, but I wish they would move that thing around, because I think in Memphis that would just be an awesome event if you could work it out to play it at the minor league park,
Redbirds
in Memphis.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to move it, and I'm sure some cities would bid on that. There would be a lot of novelty-type attendance to that kind of thing.
Yeah, but they've signed like a 30-year deal with where they're at. So, it's literally like a 25-year deal with Hoover, so it's not going anywhere.
Oh, man. What about, Tom, we haven't asked you about your Braves yet with the MLB getting going. What have you thought about your Atlanta Braves thus far this season and not retaining Freeman, just everything that went down there?
Yeah, not happy with that, but it seemed like the writing was on the wall, and I think Freddie just kind of wanted to get back closer to home. Matt Olson's been a nice pickup for us, and we didn't have our footing early last year, and when you go on a West Coast trip, we tend to struggle, and so going, to 3 and 4 against the Padres and Dodgers is not bad. We've done a lot worse out there. So I think we're going to get it together. Max Fried had a really nice start his last time, and Alex Anthopoulos is a fine GM. So I think the Braves will be in good shape.
All right. Hey, when you were with us Monday, we kind of wrapped up the spring practice from Saturday. One thing that I think people have kind of closed the book on spring football, but there's still a couple of practices this week. Anything that's come out of there, or injury updates, or anything that stood out to you as kind of the headlines and the coverage of this has been fairly limited this week, that now that everybody's worried about Garth Brooks and their friends in low places?
Yes, they are. And no, I haven't heard a lot out of this week. So I'm trying to write some stuff that I had backlogged a little bit. I'll have something on the quarterbacks coming out one day soon.
But there are two. I guess we should point out there's 2 practices this week that hadn't got a lot of hype or publicity, with just kind of everything going on in Fayetteville this week.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, they worked out Tuesday, and then they'll go tonight, and then they'll finish up Saturday. And the threes are going to scrimmage on Saturday down either on the practice fields or inside the Walker Pavilion. So they get more tackling with those guys. I just thought it was fascinating that they've reached a point in their maturation process under the Pittman regime where they didn't feel like they had to get out there and go hard and tackle a lot with the ones. And I would suspect it's going to be the same when fall rolls around. Keep all your key guys as healthy as you can, and let's go into this season with a big old running back crew and some guys that, KJ has hopefully developed some bonds and inner working type stuff, the nuances of the pass game with Hazelwood and Thompson and Keytron Jackson and these guys, and wrote about Trey Knox being a great weapon, versatile weapon. So, and I also think it's a little bit of a no-name defense outside of Poole and Catalan, but I think they're going to be a better defense this year just because they've been together and they're playing with good technique up front. So, I don't think there's anything to dissuade me from thinking that they're going to play a lot of toss-up games, could go either way, should be in the games with the Auburns and the A&Ms, and then you get Bama here, and so I just think they're going to be a solid, hard out for any SEC team.
We've been through COVID with Sam since it started, and that was really only his actual second spring practice, even though he's had a third year because they didn't have it the 1 year. Do you think we'll get a postseason? We don't really have a feel for how he likes to. Do you think we'll get a post-spring depth chart from the coaching staff?
I don't know. We should all ask for one, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And they might do one. And
FOI that, Tom. FOI the depth chart.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
In addition to your contract, we need the depth chart, Coach. So
yeah, could you please do this? Well, we don't have a depth chart. No, they have a depth chart in their heads, up on a whiteboard somewhere. But hey, look, the roster's deeper. There's bigger guys. There's faster guys than there have been since I've been covering this team, and there's been some good teams that have come along in my years here since 2007. So I don't know if they're going to. They're not going to go out of their way to make public a depth chart, I don't think.
Tom, I saw some more Heisman odds yesterday, and a couple quarterbacks in the SEC are on there. Spencer Rattler, Will Levis at Kentucky, and then Jackson Dart, who hasn't even, in my opinion, locked up the starting job at Ole Miss, or not mine, but Lane's opinion. Is it odd to see that KJ, and maybe this is just Razorback sports radio talking, but is it odd to see that he's not on more of these Heisman odds lists as we get closer to the upcoming season?
Well, only mildly. I mean, because I think people always form their Heisman opinions around how well they think a team's going to do, and it's hard to project Arkansas going, 10-2 in the regular season next year. And I would say the same about Ole Miss or South Carolina for that matter. But these are big names. Spencer Rattler obviously was a Heisman candidate when he was at OU, and so these betting agencies know to go with the big names. I mean, and I think KJ Jefferson is going to finish in the top 4 or 5 and among the most productive quarterbacks in the conference. And so maybe there should be some odds attached to him, but not a big surprise.
How much do you maybe because we were having some Barstool talk yesterday about this. How much does your opinion maybe change of what kind of season KJ could have based on where wide receivers are at? It's hard to say you get better in a position when you lose a player the caliber of Burks that's yet to be proven one way or the other, but it's pretty reasonable logic and thought to think you're going to take a step back at wide receiver without him out there. That's got to affect the kind of season you think is ahead for your quarterback.
Yeah, and that's a great point in terms of what his overall production, his completion percentage and all that are going to be. I kind of like Kendall Briles' rating system of him. How many wins did you put up? And 9-4 with that schedule, with the question marks they had with Jalen Catalan going down halfway through the season. 9 wins basically says KJ is a winner. But yeah, I'm going to go back to knowing that Knox is going to be a great versatile weapon. You think Hudson Henry will continue to come on and they'll have some tight end depth. But yeah, can they stretch the field? Can they be competent enough with deep balls to Hazelwood, Thompson, Keytron to make defenses honor that? Because that's what made them so explosive is Treylon Burks' capacity to, like the A&M game. I'm going to rear back, get good protection, throw a deep ball, and beat you with a touchdown.
Yeah, because if
they can do that, I'm sorry?
Have you seen a wide receiver through practice that you think is going to command a double team or double coverage in SEC play this year?
Well,
like Burks
Bryce
did?
Stevens. Yeah, well, Bryce Stevens is fast, and so Hazelwood is good, is fast enough. And the key with those guys and Thompson is catching the ball. I mean, we've seen Thompson get open deep, and we haven't even mentioned Malik Hornsby. If Malik Hornsby is lined up wide and he's your corner, there's a likelihood he can run by your corner. So yeah, you're probably going to have safety help if they show that in an early game. And they line him up out there. Yeah, safety's going to have to cheat that way. So, but the Bryce Stevenses of the world, they have to be better, higher percentage catching the ball. I mean, he's gotten past guys. Jaden Wilson got deep and just couldn't bring in a pass. It was like the first spring practice I remember. So to me, they have the decent speed to get by people, hold on to the ball.
Yeah. Last thing from us, Tom, Jay Wright and Oscar Sheba, those are the two college basketball news tidbits that we got yesterday. Your thoughts on Oscar coming back and one of the premier coaches in college basketball calling it quits as of yesterday?
Yeah, a little surprising on Sheba because he's projected so high, and I think he's got great NBA potential. But I did see that there was a dollar figure connected on the NIL deal to come back, and so perhaps he really loves the college game, and I would really like to see more of that they can make a great earnings with one more season in college and just kind of doing the college game and all the things that come with it before they strike out for a pro career. But a little surprising that he's done that, and I'm glad he's still in the game, honestly. And then on Wright, it was a little bit of a shocker, but he's had great accomplishments. And honestly, I like to see the schools that aren't great in football have good basketball. Like, when Butler, when Gonzaga, when Villanova have challenged for national titles, I think that's fun. And Villanova's run of national titles, who would have thought after Raleigh Massimino was gone that they could come back up and win them? They've done it multiple times. So he's a legendary coach for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the list of programs that have won 3 national titles or more is a fairly short list when you go and Google that up. So, Tom, you going to the show Saturday night?
I'm okay with country music, but I'm not going to go. I did learn some things from Mike Neighbors' list, however, that I did not know that Thunder Rolls and Colin Baton Rouge were not Garth Brooks' pin song, or that he had covered those songs. I did not know that.
Yeah. Well, he made him famous. It'll be a big gathering Saturday night. All right, enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, with us here on the Morning Rush.
Is your number one source for all your betting needs, sports info, and odds. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's odds for the Masters Championship and the start of Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so join today. Learn why everyone is saying BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on popular sports and games. Bet online, where the game starts.